I don't think we were surprised by the decision. I think a lot of people expected him to do this, especially after Paul Clement wrote his brief in the case. The entire case, obviously, is a very unusual situation. We just don't see this kind of thing happen.
Was this driven out of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue when I see a Joe Biden judge pushing aside all these accusations, allegations against the mayor of New York City?
Of course, I mean, that's been a question from the beginning of this whole episode, since the Justice Department said they wanted to drop the case without prejudice. There's been a staunch denial from the Justice Department that this was a quid pro quo, and from Adams' people, Alex Spiro. So I think, you can draw your own conclusions as to where it came from, but, it's clearly coming from the top levels of the Justice Department. So,
can you summarize for our listeners and viewers, 30 seconons, what this case is? How do we get here? What is this case about? Yeah,
so the case is about him taking in illegal campaign donations, or messing with the campaign donation matching program, and the real corruption charges is him taking free trips to Istanbul, going to Turkey, getting free hotel stays, ostensibly in return for favorable treatment, for the Turkish consulate.
And then, so who brought these charges initially?
Damian Williams, the former U.S. attorney for Manhattan, who stepped down shortly after Trump won, and has been attacked very many times by Trump. Many of the cases Damian brought have been pardoned. Trevor Milton last week.
And is there credible evidence that these charges were brought from a political perspective? Was there a real case there from a legal perspective? So
Adams' attorneys argue that this is the kind of thing that public officials do all the time. They get free flights. This happened way before he was mayor. He didn't really take these in return for any favors. He didn't really give any favors in the end.
Okay.
So.
All right. So there was so then the initial case was brought, and then President Trump came into office, and what happened then?
And then the Justice Department asked Judge Ho to dismiss the case without prejudice, meaning that they could bring it back after a review. Initially, they said that would be after there was an approved attorney for the SDNY. Jay Clayton's been nominated to be that U.S. attorney, but later said, that was just kind of, they would review it at the Justice Department when they got a chance. Adams went along with that, his team went along with that, but they later asked the judge to dismiss it with prejudice, meaning it wouldn't be able to hang over his head.
Bondi, the attorney general, there's a changing of the guard in Washington. They pick up the phone. They don't call the judge, to be clear.
Right.
Right. Am I right on that?
Yes.
Who do they call to say, we're not happy with this, fix this for Mayor Adams?
They call the acting U.S. attorney for Manhattan, who was at the time Danielle Sassoon.
She gets her paycheck from Bondi.
Yes.
Okay.
So.
And so do they go before Judge Ho and say things have changed?
Yes. That's exactly what they did. They went, Emil Bove, who was the acting deputy attorney general at the time.
For our listeners worldwide and across this nation, does this translate out of the climes of southern Manhattan across the nation, where there's this Justice Department that seems to be original?
That's a good question.
It's my only good one of the day, so go with it.
The Southern District of New York is famously referred to as the Sovereign District. It has a lot of influence in, precedent law, and the cases they bring are very influential, tend to influence other prosecutors to bring, cases in the same kind of realms. But by the same token, they are more independent. A lot of the other U.S. attorneys' offices have traditionally been, more, they're all independent, on face value, but they tend to be a little bit more directed from the top. The Southern District kind of has its own independent streak, and therefore it has a lot more impact on white-collar crime enforcement as a whole.